First, the village of Taesongdong, or Freedom Village. The UNC Security Battalion is responsible for implementing civil affairs and security within this unique village. We carry out our responsibilities to the security company that guards the village 24 hours a day. During the day, they provide security for the farmers while they work in their fields. That night, they guard the village itself while the residents sleep. All the residents have modern homes and rather large allocations of farmland. However, they do live under some very severe restrictions. They must be in the village by nightfall and inside their homes with the doors and windows secured by midnight. 1,800 meters from Taesongdong across the NVL is the village of Gijongdong, or Propaganda Village. We gave it this name due to an extremely large speaker system located throughout the area that until June of 2004 broadcast propaganda 6 to 12 hours a day. It can be heard here at Camp Boniface, but mostly at night. This propaganda idolized Kim Jong-il to be a great leader and invited the citizens of Taesongdong, as well as the rest of the republic, to defect to the so-called Village of Paradise. However, if one were to defect here, he'd find himself rather lonely, as the village is mostly uninhabited. We do see people here from time to time that work at the Kaesong Industrial Complex who maintain the upkeep of these buildings and raise and lower this extremely large North Korean flag. This is one of the largest flags in the world, has an approximate length of 31 meters. This is the second of 2 flagpoles ever to stand in the village of Gijongdong. In 1981, the Republic of Korea donated a flagpole to the village of Taesongdong, which stood taller than the original flagpole in Gijongdong. So the North Koreans quickly responded by building even taller flagpoles. Today, the flagpole in Taesongdong stands at 100 meters in height, while the flagpole in Gijongdong stands at over 160 meters in height. As we enter the Joint Security Area, I'll point out the Neutral Nations Supervisory Commission, or NNSC camp. Delegates from Switzerland, Sweden, Czechoslovakia, and Poland originally formed the NNSC. The Commission was charged with the investigation of all armistice violations occurring outside the DMZ. Currently, they work with 3 delegations, the Swiss and the Swedes that stay year-round, and the Polish delegates who come for biannual meetings. We'll see the former Czech and Polish Neutral Nations camp from Checkpoint 3, as seen here on the right. On the left is the North Korean People's Peace Museum. This museum was constructed in less than 48 hours solely for the purpose of signing no return obtained its name at the end of the Korean War when Operation Big Switch and Little Switch were held. The UNC returned over 82,000 prisoners of war, while the Chinese and North Koreans only returned approximately 13,000. These prisoners were lined up on either side of the bridge, given the opportunity to cross into the country of choice. However, once they crossed it, all the blue buildings you see belong to the United Nations Command, or UNC. All the red buildings you see belong to North Korea, or the KPA. Prior to 1976, the JSA was considered a neutral location, and both guard forces were allowed to move about freely within this area. The North Koreans took full advantage of this by building 4 guard posts along the southern boundary road, while the UNC built none in the north. Note the location, UNC Checkpoint 4. Notice how it's surrounded on 3 sides by communist guard posts and isolated from the rest of the JSA. Soldiers working at Checkpoint 3 had limited visibility at Checkpoint 4 due to 5 work detail, accompanied by a 12-man security force to conduct a routine tree trimming operation to improve visibility between these 2 checkpoints. Upon their arrival, they were met by 28 North Koreans. Work did get scheduled, but after 15 minutes, the North Korean soldiers attacked. This ensuing fight lasted for approximately 4 minutes. During that time, JSA Company Commander Captain Arthur Boniface, First Platoon Leader First Lieutenant Mark Barrett were brutally axed to death. To give you a better idea of how outnumbered they were that day, I'll point out 3 of the JSA personnel visible in this photograph. The first is rather hard to make out, but is here fighting off 7 North Korean guards. Here, you can see the helmet of Captain Boniface, who was killed in front of his own vehicle. And here, you can clearly see a North Korean wielding an axe at a JSA personnel. This unprovoked act of violence led to a special series of meetings. It was decided that the actual borders should separate the 2 guard forces. Under these new arrangements, there were no more acts of violence until 23 November 1984, when a Soviet citizen on a North Korean-sponsored tour dashed across the border in an attempt to defect to the Free World. North Koreans armed with pistols and rifles followed him in an attempt to kill or capture him. There were approximately 30 North Koreans located here, the northern portion of UNC's Central Garden. The JSA Quick Reaction Force was immediately alerted and able to halt and outflank the North Korean main body had 3 man killed and 5 man wounded, while the UNC had 1 man killed and 1 man wounded. The Soviet citizen was protected throughout the firefight and evacuated back to Camp Boniface. While on tour today, we may see KPA soldiers. The red armbands they are wearing state that they are military police. Under the provisions of the armistice, all armed personnel inside the DMZ must wear this armband. However, the KPA no longer do so. They may come down and see our tour today, and I ask that you do not communicate with them in any way, verbally or non-verbally. We also provide security and assistance for humanitarian operations, such as repatriation of remains from the Korean War and delivery of humanitarian aid to the north. We also provide security assistance for visiting dignitaries and heads of state, such as the President of the United States, George W. Bush, the former President of the Republic of Korea, Kim Dae-jung, the former Prime Minister of Australia, John Howard, the former Secretary of State, Colin Powell, the current Secretary of State, Condoleezza Rice, all seen here on tour at Panmunjom. Like these dignitaries, you'll be guarded by soldiers of this battalion. The soldier on the right is a U.S. Army soldier. We served 12 months here. The soldier on the left is a Republic of Korea or ROK soldier. They served 24 months here. Both soldiers must meet above average aptitude standards of a normal soldier, as well as have a clean military and civilian record. It is due to all this, the fact that we're the most forwardly deployed unit on the Korean Peninsula, that we stand face to face with our enemies on a daily basis, that the UNC, the Republic of Korea, the United States Army has given us our motto that we so proudly state. Ladies and gentlemen,